Happy Thursday and welcome to the Wolff Den, presented by Winning an Academy. Mark Moyer doing some great things with his informational and networking events. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we have Emily White joining us on the Wolff Den. Emily, thanks for coming today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, this is live television here. It says having trouble on Facebook. So if anyone is having trouble with Facebook, let's see if it goes. Anyway, no big deal. Worst case, we'll just share it on Facebook later, right?
Exactly. Work around.
So welcome to the Wolff Den. Great to have you here. We're going to talk about a lot of things, your book, your podcast, iVoted. But tell everybody kind of who you are and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Emily White. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a founding partner at Collective Entertainment. I'm the founder of #iVoted Festival, and I'm the author of How to Build a Sustainable Music Career and Collect All Revenue Streams, as well as host of a podcast of the same name.
And Interning 101, was that your
book
also? Or
yeah. And my first book is called Interning 101, and that also has an accompanying podcast.
Okay, so a lot going on there. How did you get into the music world?
I definitely set out to do it. I didn't know anyone in the industry when I started, and I went to Northeastern University. I worked really hard in the sport of swimming, actually, to get a scholarship to go there. They have a wonderful music business program and a great co-op program, which is basically interning. So I did. I actually did like 8 or 9 internships at Northeastern, and my career just grew pretty organically from that. I've never used my resume in my adult career. It's just each thing led to the next.
That's great. I did not have an internship, and it killed me. It took me a long time, and part of it was not having an internship. Part of it was that I moved to South Florida, but I have interns now at Ticket Time Machine every summer, and it's just amazing to me how involved. I had a sophomore doing an internship, like how ahead of the game they are. But now everyone's ahead of the game. They're on LinkedIn, they're on Clubhouse, they're all over the place. So it's like you need to. It wasn't as prevalent before, although everyone was, most people were trying to do internships. But
sure,
now it's the competitive landscape. So definitely recommend tuning in and getting the book to get a leg up on everyone else. We need every advantage that we can get. How did you get M-Wizzle? Because that's all your social media. What is that?
What a great question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that. I used to tour manage a band and work with a band called the Dresden Dolls. And when
something, I don't know. Tune into our 100th episode next week when we have the actual rest of the Wolves on the Wolff Den, and we'll probably talk about our nicknames. But
love it.
Shameless plug there. It's a great nickname, and it's great that you actually can use them for all your social media, because it's not that easy to get uniformity, which is very key in that. It's surprising no one had M-Wizzle before, and you had to be like M-Wizzle 26194387, but kudos to you.
Well, I'm a nerd, nerdy, relatively early adopter. So I think I joined Twitter in 2008 and Facebook in college and all that. So, or shortly after, probably.
So what was the order? Give us the order of all this with author. A podcast I know is the latest venture for you.
Right.
Author, Collective Entertainment, iVoted. Give us a timeline of a sense of your journey, which my friend Brent loves when I say.
Thank you. Well, I started my first management company in 2008. It was called Whitesmith Entertainment. My business partner at the time was a comedy manager. So we worked in music, comedy, and sports. That business partner left the industry. So I ended up partnering with a former intern. She was an intern a long, long time ago. A protege, certainly equal partner of mine now, Melissa Garcia. And I said to her, on one hand, I want this company to be whatever we want, but on the other, I'm just moving our music and sports divisions over. So it feels like I've been doing that stuff, working with artists for basically my entire career. But yeah, out of that, I do consider Collective Entertainment to house all my entrepreneurial work in one place. So out of that, hashtag iVoted Festival, which really started as hashtag iVoted, was born. I'm originally from Wisconsin, where the 2016 presidential election was decided by 22,000 votes and change. It was decided next door in Michigan by 10,000 votes and change. And I'd read that voter turnout was down in Milwaukee, where I'm originally from. And I was like, 22,000, that's a basketball arena. Why don't we put together some sort of sick concert and tie in voting? So for the 2018 midterm elections, an intern and I activated over 150 venues in 37 states to let fans in on election night who showed a selfie from outside their polling place. And all these amazing artists performed, and it was just an idea that really caught fire. So we were obviously gearing up for a big 2020. I was holding arenas in swing states to produce large voter turnout in-person shows when obviously the pandemic hit. So we pivoted and ended up producing the largest digital concert in history, which you were an amazing partner. You and Ticket Time Machine were an amazing partner on. And so over 450 artists participated: Billie Eilish, Living Colour, Trey Anastasio, the list just goes on. And fans RSVP'd to access the election night stream with a selfie at home with their blank and unmarked ballot or from outside their polling place. So that's really my priority moving forward. I mean, I'm forever a founding partner at Collective Entertainment, and hopefully, I'm adding value and being a good mentor to our team and our managers and everything. But we're already building our 2022 hashtag iVoted Festival for November 8th, 2022. That's the next national election day in the US. And we're hoping to activate as many venues in the country and do a hybrid model where you can get into shows with our 2018 model with a selfie from outside your polling place, or you can RSVP for the online version, as we're going to webcast as many shows as possible into an election night webcast. So that's our plan for that.
It was a great event. I think, is that where I discovered Fever 333 maybe?
Probably. I mean, that's something else I should add. We booked talent per the data. So instead of just guessing and hoping people like artists that we book, we literally booked the top streaming artists in key swing states that are often determined by the size of a venue. So the music discovery was just amazing. I know our team loved it. A lot of fans loved it. We certainly all discovered a lot of new artists and fell in love with them, because again, it's based on what fans and people are listening to. And sometimes they're more on the pulse in the industry. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to ask you a controversial question here, because that's what we do on the Wolff Den. I love music. I love live music. I tuned into iVoted and I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. But live streaming, to me, it defeats the purpose if it's recorded. And I understand the production value is kind of where people are at, or, people lip syncing on Saturday Night Live. So what's the thought process between using a recorded video and someone, which I can literally find anywhere else 100 times? There's millions of videos of everyone singing, as opposed to someone who can get on there and kind of just have at it and not worry about what it's going to sound like. Because I think people understand. I think they understand that sometimes audio isn't great. It's even live in person. Mm-hmm. But I'd rather have them try and have a malfunction. So it's always a pet peeve of mine. I want to know what your feeling is and what the thought process is as you're trying to find people who are going to participate.
It's totally up to the artist. So many artists and teams preferred to pre-record, like you said, because they can control production and things like that. But we had both going on. We had pre-recorded sets. We had actual live stream sets happening on election night. So it's 100% up to the artists. And I mean, not to get too inside baseball, but again, we pivoted in spring of 2020. And so I was meeting with every webcasting company you can imagine, and and again, there were tons last year, right? And some of them, might get acquired, or I don't even know if they still exist or whatever. But every single one was pre-record, so easy. We can do so many pre-records. And then when we booked all this talent, companies just started dropping. They're just a few hundred. No, oh no, we can't do. I'm like, well, you shouldn't have said it was so easy then. But Mandolin stepped up to the plate. They were able to handle, whatever we needed, pre-record, live. So to answer your question, it's really the artist's decision.
Yeah, Mandolin's doing some great things. You were involved with Kevin Lyman and his company, and Kate was heavily involved in the venture. Kate is now with Mandolin. I hope to have her on the Wolff Den someday to talk. She's got a lot of great stories. But Mandolin is doing some great things, and they're really pushing to the hybrid model, which I think will work because I think it'll work very well because it's live and not like recorded. Again, there's a market for recorded stuff, but I can tell you that I purchased very few live streams, and the ones that I did, and they had like recorded stuff and 3 songs, and was extremely disappointed when I was on.
That's interesting because how do you really know? You know what I mean? Not to get into this mess of weeds, but I don't know if you know about Glastonbury's webcasts didn't work. And I'm forever grateful that our thing did work. I hope our thing continues to work. It's something I'll never take for granted. But I remember seeing kind of some screenshots or some clips of Damon Albarn from Gorillaz and Blur playing. And I was like, oh, I wish I would have caught that. And it was probably a pre-record, but it was just a beautiful setup outdoors, great light, great stage, so it could have been live. It could have not been live. So
I think sometimes it's when it's obvious, when they make an effort to make it seem like it is, but it's like you'll see them sitting in a chair with a shirt, and then they pop to a video.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something of mine, but I think I do think that the live aspect of it is one of the key things for a live stream working. So on the hybrid is really going to be effective. And I think in an event like iVoted is going to be huge. Like not everyone's going to want to go there, and they're still going to tune in. And live music, man. I have Spotify here. I listen to phones. So music is music to me, but there is something about the exclusivity. I don't know why I had trouble saying that word. Exclusivity, and you watch it now or it's gone.
Well, that was the Glastonbury model, and they had a lot of really. I mean, I'm biased. It was all like my favorite artists growing up. It was all like '90s Britpop artists. But then it didn't work, and it was a charity event, and then the technology didn't work, and so then they just opened up the stream to everyone, and then that didn't work. So. It's a Wild West for everyone, right? Like you can, my point is that was supposed to be exclusive. That was supposed to be, you buy the ticket, you can only see these sets now. And then it imploded. And then they had to open it up. So I think it just depends.
Well, you got, there's always going to be production and technical issues live or recorded.
Exactly.
In person or live stream. That's why you get the crew to do their magic. And you can't please everybody in music and concerts and sports. It's amazing. I can tell you the worst experience I ever had was I went to go see Blues Traveler at PNC in New Jersey, the old PNC. I don't even know what it is now. It was the Garden State Art Center. It might be PNC now. And they were terrible. They played 3 songs and left, and the venue had to say, look, to have a free show to, use your ticket to get into, they were doing another show or use any other show. It was wild to me. So, some shows are great. Some shows aren't. It could be your favorite band. Who knows? We usually do this at the end, but give me a terrible experience you had, and give me your favorite concert experience.
Oh, a terrible experience. I don't know.
Whether it was the venue or the artist mailed it in, or
I don't know. I mean, what popped in my brain for what it's worth is I was in Australia with the Dresden Dolls, and we were in Perth. And so again, I'm on the production side, right? I'm on the artist side. And I just remember the security guards just being awful. And the Dresden Dolls just have eternally teenage fans. And so I just thought really rough, really, way too rough and rude with the audience, and that, stands out to me. So be kind to your patrons, and you want to be kind to all fans, but my goodness, it's 15-year-old girls, it's not like they're going too crazy. Best show ever. Wow. I can't believe I've never been asked that before. Noel Gallagher dedicated Don't Look Back in Anger to me at a festival in Germany, and I'm obsessed with him. So I'll go with that one.
Is that the biggest band that people want to get back together, and that will never happen, but that's what people ask for?
I would say Led Zeppelin. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, wow, that's, I mean, I hate to say this. I don't know if they hate each other, but I'm like, they must really hate each other that they've never taken a huge payday or something. But there might be other Oasis fans like this. I am such a Noel person. I've been waiting for him to go solo since like middle school. So when people bring that up, I'm like, just keep pumping out the solo albums. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with either, but I love the Noel solo gigs and albums.
I think there's some bands that break up and the person decides to go solo and it works out great.
Yeah.
And some it doesn't. Like you look at someone like Beyonce, right? I mean, they could have done great things with her, but it's very hard to say. I don't know anyone's going to think she made the wrong decision. There's a lot of other instances of people. I wish Fun would come back. I know Nate.
Wait, people think Beyonce made the wrong decision?
No, I don't think anyone.
Okay, I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't think anyone thinks
No.
she made the wrong decision. But Fun, I'd love to see them come back. They were,
sure.
But Nate has some good solo stuff and some good collaborations.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. For me, Blink-182, it's not the same. And I feel terrible. Mark announced that he's got cancer now, and we're wishing him a speedy recovery, and hoping everything goes well for him to live a long and healthy life. Forget about the music, but obviously we want to hear more music from them. So yeah, it's the music world. There's just so much going on, and now with everything crunched together, it's going to be chaos from now until the end of the year. And then 2022, we just had someone on yesterday, or Don Orris the other day, who was at Polestar, and they're talking about 2022 being just crazy. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm a little anxious about going full force and everything, because there's something about being home and being slow and not getting dressed and all of that.
Can I tell you, and I am definitely a veteran of in-person music festivals, and I'm sure this is just reflecting my age, but when election day came, when it was finally election day and we had our big online festival, I was like, I don't have to walk a mile in between stages. I'm in Brooklyn, I can order whatever, I can make food if I want. I'm at home, I can order good, even though festival food has definitely improved, but yeah, there were some advantages. I mean, there's advantages to both, but those were things that stood out to me as someone who's, like so many of us, trekked a mile in between stages to check out sets. And here we just click.
Yeah, the click is good, because I do have to make a lot of tough decisions at festivals. On the Tortuga on the beach, I got to walk by the time I walk all the way there,
yeah,
you can't get anywhere near it. So you're like, you know what? I'm going to kind of look at the schedule here and say, I'm going to sit here for 2 hours, and then I'm going to go there for 2 hours. And you miss some great acts. It's, there's some festivals that are just one stage, and I think they get, powerful lineups. And I love that, because I'm just sitting there. Maybe there's a smaller stage, but the headliners are on that one stage. I'm looking forward to when I make it big enough that I can enjoy the experience like VIP and have the access that, you don't have to worry about that. I can go backstage, I can get in there. I don't have to be worried about parking and all this stuff. So that's my
sorry to interrupt. As a former tour manager, I'm proud of this. I am way too good at making myself look decent in a trailer backstage festival shower situation. Like if it's Bonnaroo or whatever, it's just that's all I need is give me a sink, give me some running water, and I can make it work. So those are the perks of VIP. Yeah,
and I just I'm a right up on the front of the stage kind of guy too. So I'll fight the crowd. I don't,
wow.
I'm probably too old to be doing that.
Never too old.
Yeah, never too old. Not comfortable doing that today.
Sure, yeah.
It just feels, I don't know, but I'm ready to go. I have a concert next week. I think it's Brad Paisley out at the amphitheater. I'm an amphitheater, sit in the lawn kind of guy. Sure. Also, so if I'm not up front, then I don't need to pay all that extra money to be in row 10.
Right.
To me, if I'm not literally there. And my friend had pit tickets for Blink and Lil Wayne. That was 2 years ago. And it was crazy to watch Mark who's, our age basically.
Yeah.
And he's just running around like crazy, just, killing it up there, which is great. Love to see it. Have you been back to a in-person event yet?
Yes. I went to see actually an iVoted artist named Cullah, Cullah, for his album release show in April. It was 50% capacity in Milwaukee. It sold out. But yeah, I think that's the only, and it was awesome. But I think that's the only, and he did a private thing the night before for donors as well. So those are the only 2 shows I think I've seen.
What do you have coming up?
I don't know. I mean, I'm in New York City. Things are opening up. I mean, I just went to my first like in-studio yoga class. Like that's what popped in my brain when you said like, what shows have you been to? Because that's like the most normal experience I've had.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I will just play it by here. I mean, I lame answer. I'm just so focused on work. It's like I have so much work to do on our 2022 festival. I'm just going to be binge working for most of the summer.
Yeah, I'm new at this, running a company, and it was even just last night. I'm like, look, I got to pull an all-nighter tonight, and then I got to like, I went late. It was like after 1:00 or something. Like, you know what? I'm just gonna try again tomorrow. And I have this other stuff like try and do this weekend to spend a day without having to do much. And look, I'm always going to be on my phone a little bit and checking, but these events are so important to me. Maybe not that concert, but I have trips that I take where I'm like, I'm making this trip and I'm planning it in the books. And so, I got to do it because there's got to be a balance. You don't want to burn yourself out, but you also have to make sure you get stuff done. So I have a lot of events that I have planned that I'm ready to go. They're talking about a huge concert in New York City, maybe Central Park.
I heard about that initially. I think
Clive's son.
Yeah, Clive's working on it. I mean, I heard they were working on it, and then I haven't heard anything else.
Yeah, that's what you get a headline, and then you don't hear it. It's like it was kind of like Woodstock, where they're like, "Yeah, Woodstock's happening." I'm like,
that was crazy.
I was all excited about it, and then there's some crazy stories. Woodstock.
I did just send my partner a link for some of the Central Park shows, so maybe we'll get up to a summer stage show this year.
Yeah, I love it's unbelievable. Like to go sit outside and listen to music.
Best.
It almost doesn't even matter who it is, but obviously you have people that you like. But I have such a wide range of what I like anyway. I just tell people, give me a band in the lawn, I'll pay $20 to see anybody. I don't care if I with them or not. So, but it is, tickets are going to get a little expensive, especially, the more popular ones and dates also. So, with people having less disposable income, you got to pick and choose.
Yes,
it's going to be hard to do. So, what has you busy on for iVoted 2022? Just more specific, like. Obviously, I understand, but what's on a day-to-day basis? What's the big thing you're working on right now?
Always funding, always fundraising. We've never been funded. I led a team of over 200 volunteers to produce the 2020 event. So I'm literally applying for grants and sponsorships and reaching out to high net worth individuals every single day. On kind of the more fun end. I mean, we do weekly meetings too. We still have a core volunteer team that's running our social, and they're really incredible. Working on some partnerships already, because sometimes that comes our way. People are like, we want to help, and so we'll do a promotional partnership. We're working on some strategic partnerships. We do quarterly board calls, but really, probably after this podcast, I need to put my 2022 vision, which was written out, into deck format. I mean, it's mostly me handing the notes over to our designer, and then we're going to be going to AEG and Live Nation and NEVA, and hopefully getting as many venues as possible to opt in one swoop instead of individual venues, which is what we had to do in 2018 when we were new. So, and then I'm also planning a #iVoted podcast. That probably won't debut until 2022, but I also need to put the deck together on that. So those are some very specific answers, but that's where my brain is.
That's what I was at. When do you have to have things ready by, to where obviously it's always going to be right up till, but I have the lineup, I have the venues, the core of it. Like how much time do you have to get that done?
The venues. Okay, so now that we're back into in-person, hopefully, and hybrid, the venues are the first piece. That's what we did in 2018. And I was, I mentioned I used to tour manage. So I was able to apply my tour manager brain to that, where I was like, so we actually started this in 2017. And I was like, we just have to get ahead of the holds for the venues. Like, I don't care who is playing, the talent is going to fill in. And that I knew that was just the easiest point of entry. So huge shout out to Stacey George at Live Nation in New York. She was the first promoter to come on board for this wacky idea in 2017. And then I think Peter Shapiro at Brooklyn Bowl came on next. And then I think C3 in Austin came on next. And those are obviously three really iconic promoters. So I was able to leverage that across the United States, because other promoters were like, oh, if Stacey and Peter and C3 are in, then we're in. And again, I let the talent fill in from there, because like we said, it's like promoters know who sell tickets more than the rest of us, or you probably know because you work in ticketing. But so it might be like a YouTube star selling out a venue or something that maybe like our team wouldn't think of or whatever. So that was interesting. And sometimes I would have kind of non-industry board members, or maybe people with less live experience who are like, oh, get big talent, get this. I'm like, you don't even understand what it's like to reach out to managers and everything they have going on and cutting through that noise. Like, I am going to the venues and letting the talent fill in from there. And then because of that, it was like, oh, there was a Billie Eilish show, there was a Good Charlotte show, there was Living Color, and I knew that would come together organically. So very long-winded. We definitely have major artists we want to reach out to now that we have a little bit more clout. But at the end of the day, this always started with, opening venues doors to fans who show a selfie from outside their polling place. So we start by activating the venues and promoters. And I was going to start that in September, but we're kind of already starting it.
Yeah, it's tough, dates, and especially now it's going to become tougher. But I have faith whoever you put in there is going to put on a good show, and the people are going to be, it's going to be a great event. So it's, part of it is, I agree, it doesn't almost matter who plays, because people are going to go because they want to go, they want to celebrate, they want to support, and everything else is
the talent fills in. If you have the rooms, right? I'm just like, whatever shows are happening on November 8th, 2022, we want to activate those venues. And if an artist wants to do a show, we can put that together for them. But it just, being an unfunded organization, and again, starting with 2 people in 2018, I was like, this is the most efficient way. And I think that's how we've always done things and how we continue to do things, because that's how we have to, right?
Yeah. We have Barry. Barry chimed in. He's old enough to experience this.
Wow, amazing.
Barry's a great friend of the program. He was on here. He wrote a book, which is an excellent book. I don't remember the name, but it's all about truth and finding work. So check out his book. We'll talk a little bit. I want to talk about your book and your podcasts. But one thing I do want to talk about with iVoted is the political aspect of it, because it's nonpartisan.
Correct.
But it's, I have very strong political opinions. I know Kevin, who was a big part of it, has very strong political opinions. And it's a difficult thing to do in a way to kind of promote it without sort of putting your spin on it. Isn't to some extent just the fact of getting out the vote leaning towards one party as opposed to the other, or no?
I hope not. Like, anyone who has the right to vote should be able to vote. It's pretty simple for me. I don't care who you vote for. We just want you thinking about it, maybe researching it, and then actually getting out the door or in the mail or whatever to vote. So we are nonpartisan, bipartisan. Obviously, team members or board members can have their own personal beliefs. I only know what they are if they post it on social media like Kevin does all the time.
That was me posting for iVote. I'm like, all right, my Ticket Time Machine account's going to do this, and my personal is going to be like.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. And, being nonpartisan, bipartisan has really helped us to succeed, because artists don't want to alienate a single fan. So we probably get that question at least 25% of the time from artists and teams, like, you all are, nonpartisan, right? So I definitely know organizations that in the music industry, political organizations in the music industry that are partisan. And I'm friends with some of those people, and I had concern about what they were doing because I didn't think they would be as effective in what they were trying to do. And I hate to say that I was right. So I truly believe nonpartisan is like I feel weird saying this, but like morally the right way to be, but it's also effective for us because, like I said, we are attracting artists and not alienating them.
Yeah, I think it's morally the right thing to do. I'm going to disagree with you on the partisan thing, though. Bands love to take a stand, and some of them were on the show kind of saying what they want. I think some are very clear.
Yeah.
I actually respect, even on the other side, on both sides. I respect it if your message is, some people I don't think have the greatest message, but I respect that you take a stand, because I take a stand and I take a stand for a lot of things, not just, voting and equality and mental health and all this. And I always say, I'm not worried about who's not going to do business with me because of it.
Yeah.
I'm very confident in that there's enough people that will agree with what we stand for to move forward on it. So I think it could be successful either way, but certainly going to try and be as nonpartisan as you can. You can't go wrong there.
Well, and you're right about the artists, because like I said, about 25%, I'm just guessing, I didn't run a real academic study, but about 25% wanted us to be nonpartisan and 75% didn't ask. So maybe that's the more, vocal group either way. But we wouldn't have gotten that 25 or 30%, if maybe we wouldn't have gotten as many, period. So that's just, that's worked really well for us.
Yeah, I'm told that 62% of all stats are made up anyway, including that one that I just threw
nice.
at.
I like the number though. It's a good number, 62%.
That was on my. I have to look. I think that's actually on my ticket here.
Nice.
Yeah. Research also tells us that 42.7% of all statistics are made up. So that's part of my disclaimer. When we try and have funny disclaimers, since you don't really need a real disclaimer ticket. Nobody reads them anyway, which is kind of what I wrote there. Like, nobody reads the fine print, and you can't. That's why you see these companies. There's such a tangent here, but these companies with the fine print, it's like, did you read it? No, of course I didn't read it. I forget there was a comedy. Maybe it was Chris Rock. Someone had it. Like, no, of course I didn't read what you wrote on there. Nobody does.
I know, and it's tech companies, and they're just exploiting our data, and so we probably should all read those things.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
You got. I mean, this is the world we live in, and you're gonna be like. That's why I think accept cookies. I'm like, well, yeah, you're gonna get whatever you want anyway. Me just clicking this button, no, I don't. Am I gonna miss out on something that I normally wouldn't have? I don't know. I'm not a data guy. I'm really not. I don't have. I think that data is. Misused. There's vanity metrics, all this stuff. I just believe that if you do the right thing, and you do it the right way, and you surround yourself with the right people and good people, that you'll get where you need to go and what you need. That's just my feeling. But I know data is big, especially in the online world and in the music world. They use that too for like who booking and how much to pay and who can we get. Do you have a data person? I know some great data people.
You're looking at her.
You're the data.
That's not entirely true. We definitely have, at iVoted, data scientists and analytics strategists, but I'm a geek about data in hopefully very practical terms. Like I said, iVoted, or maybe I didn't say this because I think that might have been something else this morning, but iVoted was an entirely data-driven festival.
You mentioned that.
Okay, yeah. Cool. So we reached out to the top streaming acts who were the top streaming acts in swing states or who were from those swing states. And so that's where the music, that's when I mentioned that. That's where the music discovery component came in, which was awesome because we discovered all these amazing new artists. But then it also solved a problem that, like, I can't really say any other festival hasn't had this problem, but I think we're the only festival to have solved this problem. I'm happy to be wrong, but we used data to decide the billing on each stage for the festival as well. And that's obviously something like, everyone fights about, everyone complains about, agents fight about it, promoters fight about it, artists complain about it. Like, why are they above me or why are they below me? We reached out to everyone. We said, okay, you're on state specific stages, or like the stages made sense, for where they were, but the billing, the actual order was based on monthly Spotify listeners from lowest to highest. So we're like, this is how we're programming the stages. And we, out of 450 artists, we received 0 complaints on the billing. I don't know any other festival that has happened, let alone one with hundreds of artists.
Well, Ohio, I'm going to put an early plug for my boy JD. He was on the Wolff Den, big fan of JD's. Ohio is going to be a contested state again, so I'm going to put an early plug in for JD. I'll tell him to reach out or
do it.
So he can come on and play.
Love it.
He's got a show, JD TV, which he offers for his Patreon account. I very funny guy and great music. So that'll get my segue into podcasts. What made you want to do a podcast? So you already wrote, right? You already wrote the books, and now what made you want to do a podcast, and why are you doing it?
Yeah. So thank you for mentioning my first book, Interning 101. I don't mean to forget about that, but I'm just so in the stuff I'm doing right now. And you kind of asked how that fit, before you asked how that fit in the timeline as well. So at my first management company, I wrote what I called the intern manifesto for the company, which were basics that I felt like I was teaching our interns, semester after semester. And so I realized if I put that down in a handbook, they could reference it. And then I said to 2 really great interns one summer, hey, if I turn this into a 100-page how-to book, would that be helpful to you and your classmates? And it was like a resounding yes. So so that book came out. And then I don't know if you know Mike Mowery at Outer Loop.
I do.
Okay, love him. So he has a podcast network called Jabberjaw, and he's been a big fan of Interning 101, and he asked me to do an Interning 101 podcast. And I was like, what a great idea. I wouldn't have thought to do that. And so now anybody that comes out with a book, I'm like, do a podcast, because it just totally brings the book to life in a lot of ways. So the second book, How to Build a Sustainable Music Career and Collect All Revenue Streams. That was information that I was explaining to artists over and over and over again, kind of similar to Interning 101, where I was like, okay, if I just write this down, maybe that'll be easier for people. So this time I had a very clear set vision for the series, like anything, right? Like it's the second time I've done it. So I've learned something and am having more success. So I'm, most likely better at it or whatever. So that's how the podcast came about. The new book is a #1 Amazon bestseller. The podcast is the #1 music business podcast in America. So I always felt like, if this information helped one musician, I would be thrilled. But the fact that, I have listeners in 115 countries and keep hearing from people is really fulfilling and rewarding for sure.
What's your advice to someone who's doing a podcast and who wants to start one? I mean, that's some pretty good. Again, I don't keep data on this because I just want to help people and bring people to a new audience. And there's people who aren't in the data who come to me and say, "Oh yeah, great job the other day." I'm like, "You watched it? I didn't see you didn't like it. You didn't comment. You didn't do this." So what's your advice for someone who wants to start a podcast?
Definitely just start doing it, kind of similar to music. I mean, music, you have to be a musician, but, the tools are there. Absolutely. But the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Like with the Interning 101 podcast, like it's good. I'm proud of it. I know there's universities that use it, but I just kind of kept making episodes until I didn't, and then the How to Build a Sustainable Music Career and Collect All Revenue Streams podcast, that is a set series. That is a set vision. That is, usually an episode based on each chapter. Sometimes there's more than one episodes on each chapter. Live music, right? So we interview Kevin Lyman for an episode. We interview the CEO of Mandolin for an episode. We interview an agent from CAA for an episode. I think I listed those up. Those are future episodes, but I listed those out of order because the whole thing is a step-by-step building process. So just start doing it and you'll learn more.
I think that's the key to everything. Just
exactly.
Just start it. Someone, and again, making up percentages, but when I told someone how many episodes I've done, they go, "Man, that's something," because some crazy number, and it's a high percentage of people who do a podcast stop at like 3 episodes. They have less than 3 episodes. And I'm here on next week we'll have our 100th episode. That's once too. I started once a week, and then I kept asking. Part of the problem was that people wouldn't get back to me. So by the time I was like, "No, that's already booked. Let's do it here." Or, "Okay, let's do it." So it just started to go 2 times, and then
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I love doing it. It's great to have conversations with people who have great stories to tell and great things to promote and champion for things that are just, I mean, that need to be elevated and need a platform. And I'm not a huge platform, but it's growing, and I think it's it's good. You never know. Just like you said, if it was one person, that's really all it takes. One person can change your life, but you can change one person's life. Who was the biggest influence in you in getting, because you're very well connected, and this is not a knock on you, but it's a lot easier for you to accomplish some things with your connections than it is for someone else who doesn't. But you had to get there. So was there someone who was a huge influence in you getting there, or gave you a big break, or how did you get to be in the circles that you're at?
I ground it out. Like, that you got, and that's kind of like what Interning 101 is about too. Like, you have to learn every step as you go. Like, you can't skip a rung of the ladder, because otherwise you're going to look back and be like, oh wait, I don't know how to do that. So I've just always tried to do every task that's been given to me and done it well. And that's how I've amassed like all this knowledge, all these relationships. Like, it's, not a very exciting answer, but sometimes I think success in the music industry is just doing the things that you say that you'll do. But to answer your question more specifically, I consider my mentor to be Mike Luba. He is a visionary and incredible in many ways. Obviously working with Amanda Palmer and Brian Biglione of the Dresden Dolls, starting when I was like 20 or something, was really impactful. So I'm definitely grateful for working with those folks for sure. But it's, this is going to sound so weird, but you accumulate, right? Like, you accumulate information and you build relationships. And if any college students or younger people or whatever, when they're starting career, see this, like, I am really obsessed with data. And to me, building a sustainable music career for artists is collecting as many fan email addresses and cell phone numbers as possible, so you can communicate with your audience directly. My point is, I should have started a Google spreadsheet or something when I was in college to keep track of all the relationships that I was building. I mean, I think I had a decent database that I kind of messed up at my previous management company, which is not like me. But
Salesforce, what do you use?
We just use like a Google spreadsheet, although I think we are going to update to Salesforce. But again, like, management's a little bit different. It's not like we're selling something. It's more about, creating partnerships. And
but those are accounts and contacts. It's very
right.
I use it. I was on a Clubhouse call last night, and they were talking about what do you use, products you use for your workflow. Sure. And I've never been more organized than when I use Salesforce. Yeah. I log every single call and email that I do, and so it just becomes easier. I'm very organized anyway. I basically operate with a clean inbox.
Same. Yeah.
I cringe when I see people with all the red on their phone. It's like 22,000 unread emails. Wow.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm an inbox zero person, but so for college students, like, just start you can use Salesforce if you want, but also just start a Google spreadsheet. As you meet people, pop their name, email address, maybe a Twitter handle or a social handle or something in case they're at a company, and move on or whatever, because collect that data for yourself. Because when you're young and you're meeting people or whatever, you enter the industry, it's really easy to remember everyone. But you're going to forget, right? And so it's nice to have that resource. So I think that aspiring industry people should be collecting that data for themselves as well, and not just on behalf of between artists and fans.
Yeah, it's the connections that you can make are unbelievable. Just by being there, I think, right? Yeah. And giving value or listening or offering to help. But there's people who need help, and it's okay to ask for it. I do it all the time. Some people have been very helpful. It's tough in the music world. Sometimes you don't know who to talk to. Sometimes they're kind of the big shots in the music world and don't have time. But there's plenty of people who are out there who want to help and want to see you succeed and help the young people, the new voices rise up. So it's definitely check out Interning 101, the book and the podcast, and the other book as well, How to Build a Sustainable Music Career and Collect All Revenue Streams, which Ticket Time Machine is a revenue stream. So don't forget that. Reach out to us if we can help in any way for any of your music needs. What makes you happy other than, obviously music and work? What are you happiest doing?
Balance. I'm always, I was going to say working towards balance.
Not working and not music. What else do you do that, with the little time that you have?
Yeah, I practice yoga every day. I try to swim every day now, especially now that outdoor pools are open here in New York City. Spend time with my partner, try to check in with my parents, all that good stuff. But this isn't really what you asked, but like I sleep 9 hours a night. I really just try to prioritize health and wellness, and and I love the Milwaukee Brewers and cheering for the Milwaukee Bucks right now as well.
What's going on with Yelich?
What do you mean? What's going on?
He's been terrible for like the last 2 years.
Well, he's been injured this season.
Yeah, I don't think the Bucks are going to win. I think the Suns are going to win, but I think the Bucks will beat the Bucks. That's my opinion.
We'll see. I actually think the Brewers have better energy on their team right now than the Bucks. It feels like the Bucks, like, they want it too much. And like,
are you Milwaukee?
What? Oh, I'm from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the Brewers, they were down 7-0 in the first inning the other day against the Cubs, and they ended up winning 14-7.
It's crazy.
I was watching the condensed game, and when the Cubs were scoring all those runs against the Brewers, and then they're like, okay, on to the bottom of the first. I was like, that's only the first inning.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But I heard both a veteran player, and I watched the press conferences because I was so into that game. I watched a veteran player and a younger player both say, when they scored 7 runs on us in the first inning, we knew we were going to win that game. And that's what I mean about that, like, magic team. I'm not saying like the Brewers are going to go all the way or whatever, but the Bucks need some of that where they're just forcing it, It's
yesterday was a crazy day in baseball. The Brewers game,
yeah,
right? The Yankees scored 7 runs in the first inning, gave up 7 in the 9th and lost.
Right.
Trent Turner, I think, or Trey Turner of the Nationals hit for the cycle, and it was actually his birthday.
Oh, yay!
There's some great stories going on there. So, good. 9 hours of sleep is important. I told my friend, I said, I took a nap the other day. It was like 2 p.m, and it lasted longer than I wanted. He's like, what are you, crazy? I'm like, no. I said, I don't argue with my body.
Correct.
The body tells me what. The only time I argue with my body is when I'm full. Then I argue with my body and say, nah, you're not full. You can fit this one still in. What's your favorite music? You have a wide range. I usually ask about Mount Rushmore, so I guess give me your Mount Rushmore of musicians.
Sure.
Acts. Could be groups or single.
Yeah, definitely. It's a little too white, I have to say. But to answer your question, at my core, like I said, I love 90s Britpop. So I would put on Mount Rushmore Noel Gallagher from Oasis, Damon Albarn. How many people are on Mount Rushmore? 4 or 5? 4. Okay. Damon Albarn from Blur and Gorillaz, Jarvis Cocker from Pulp. They were my Britpop trifecta growing up. And a few years ago, maybe did I hung out with Noel and I watched a World Cup game, which was insane. What?
With Noel?
Yeah, with Noel. It's crazy. Talk about relationships. I mean, I don't know if I should fully disclose how that happened, but he was mastering. I mean, there's like one famous mastering studio, and a friend, who was the manager of that mastering studio, was emailing with another friend and said, "Oh, I'm so excited. Noel Gallagher's coming by today. I love him." And he just copies me and he's like, "Don't tell Emily." And she's like, "Oh, come on down." And I was like, "I'm leaving right now. I'll be there." So anyway, sorry. So I watched a World Cup game with Noel, and then I think I hung out with Blur in Japan with Mark Cates like a few weeks later. I might be misconstruing these timelines, but I don't think so. And then I ran into Jarvis Cocker with a client in the green room at South by Southwest. And so because I hung out with my Britpop trifecta within a month. I was like, am I about to die or something? Is this some sort of like symbol? My fourth would be Fiona Apple.
Okay, that's good. I love Clint Eastwood. That's my favorite Gorillaz. That song is just, I can listen to it all day, every day.
Yeah.
I find mine to be, very white also and male. It's weird because let's talk about women in music. It's really so underrepresented. And I'm all for equality. I love, I can name you hundreds of female artists I do, but when you ask me who my favorites are, I always gravitate towards the men. And I don't know why that is. Maybe I like more of their stuff. And for the women, I kind of just like, hey, I like 3 Carrie Underwood songs and I like, 5 Avril Lavigne songs who are, those are some of my favorites, by the way, but there's so many good ones. Wasn't Bewitched a pop London British pop band?
I don't know Bewitched.
No,
well, you know what? I think you're confusing pop with Britpop. So Britpop is like 90s indie. Okay. That happened. One of my students was like the Spice Girls. I was like,
what do they sound like? Bewitched sounds like the Spice Girls. They have a song called "C'est la Vie," which is a real catchy tune.
Sure. There's something else I was going to say about that. That was women. Why you
groups, like women in country? There's some good groups who will give you a poster lineup and they'll like take out all the men and you're like, and there's like 8 headliners before I had 1 woman on here.
Well, there's a few things going on there. There's historical patriarchy and sexism, and so like I'm gonna mess this up, but you'll get the idea. It's like women didn't even have access to instruments until like 100 years ago, where men did for hundreds of years, right? So there's also like that head start element, and then it's just the bro culture. It exists in the music industry, obviously. Even though the music industry is has a lot of liberal people as well, and that can be really disheartening. When you see all white male, all straight white male speakers at events, or like you said, it's all male headliners. I think sometimes it can just be laziness, right? And it's like, just put a little thought into it. I remember I put together a Polestar live panel once, and it was all women, it was all people of color. And I asked a promoter at C3 and she's like, thank you so much for asking me, and it's like, a lot of times people are like, how do we get women on the team? How do we get women to ask?
It's hard. It's because I do this too. I've had panels. I'm doing a sizzle reel and I'm just trying to like, look, I want to be diverse if I can. And I'd like to think that my network is diverse enough, but availability, whatever, there's expertise. Sometimes it's just, these are the best people. So we do it. So it's tough, but you can argue that Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga are like the most successful musicians in the entire world.
Beyonce.
And they're female, right? Beyonce, I would put them up with anyone with, record sales and money earned and tours and tickets sold and all that. So it's just something that popped into my head. Wanted to get your opinion on.
But, I mean, the solution in the music industry is quite simple. And I have shared this with people who are trying to change this stuff. It's leadership and it's representation, because our C-suite at #iVoted is 100% women and non-binary. Our overall team of 200 volunteers in 2020 was 92% women, non-binary, people of color, or LGBTQ+. I'd like to say that was deliberate. It was a little deliberate. I'm on the board of Wolff Den, which provides paid entertainment industry internships to underserved communities. And we had a fabulous COO named Melanie Shark, who noticed that we didn't have as many Black men on the team represented as we did other people. So we were proactive and working with Wolff Den and making sure, that was represented. But overall, like I said, those numbers, people were just coming to us, and a lot of them were college students from all over the country. And like Kevin Lyman obviously teaches at USC, and he's like, it's all women and people of color as far as my students applying. I was like, we're open to guys as well. They're allowed to apply too. But again, it was such a huge lesson for me of just representation. They see women and people of color, in the C-suite leading this thing. And therefore they see themselves in the future. So it's not just like, cool, we got a, diverse intern or whatever. Like, these festivals, the music industry at large needs to be thinking about, promoting and then getting underserved communities into leadership. Because like I said, that's what I learned at iVoted. Like, oh my gosh, like, wow, look at our amazing diverse team. But we didn't really plan. We planned like 10% of that.
Yeah. And, you know, we can get into a whole nother conversation about overcompensating and overthinking it. It's tough. You know, good people are being left out. Good people are being left out the other way. It's I just want to share as many different voices as possible, because I think hopefully, ideally, we're all looking at the same thing, right? We're all on the same team and we're operating from this center, but it's all different types of opinions.
Yeah.
To get to there, and we can have a conversation like that. That's what I try and do. It's very difficult to do because when you don't agree with someone, it's, you know, name calling and all that. So that stuff's tough to do. But yeah, I fight for, you know, equality and having more women in music, even though I can tell you that if you're asking me, like, I'm going to ask you this question here, like, what would be your, you know, give me like your lineup poster. You got 3 days, 3 headliners, and then 3 for the second and you're doing a festival and you can have anyone you want.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I feel like I need more time to do that. I mean, wouldn't it be kind of like the artists Beyonce would be on there for sure. I'm obsessed with her.
Have Noel there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like, look, when you're asking, this is really bratty, but like when you're asking me what shows I'm excited about, like, I've seen everyone. Yeah. The only person I haven't seen that I need to is Madonna. And that's a hard guest list ticket to get. And so every time she comes around, I'm like, do I want to spend $300 for nosebleeds? Like,
I bought Madonna tickets and then I sold them.
Right.
Yeah. But I wish I had gone.
Yeah.
So what's your bucket list? Give me a bucket list venue.
I mean, I've been to them all, you know, like, you know, I meant to say this too, when you're asking about, like my network and relationships and stuff, a lot of that came out of tour managing, right? Just like meeting all these promoters, going all over the world to festivals. So, you know, I really love the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee. It's beautiful. It has, you know, in-house homemade catering. You know, I think that's Brian Viglione from the Dresden Dolls' favorite venue. So, you know, got some support on that, but that's a really, and it's fairly small. I mean, I've seen have I seen Noel there, or was that the Riverside? But yeah, I think, I don't know, but it's like, it's fairly intimate, but it has big artists as well.
I'd like to get to Summerfest. That's on my list.
Yes.
They have always have some great acts. It's chaos there. I'd love to work with them too, but I'd love to go there as a patron. Red Rocks I haven't been to. Was supposed to go to maybe see Fronte, who do you know Michael? Yeah, you gotta. Yeah. He's big into yoga. You could go to his retreat. Yep. He's got a cruise now with 6-man. They got a 6-man cruise that he's doing. Big Michael Fronte fan, just a good person, and love he's one of those guys that I just live is so much better. Yeah. And his music's not bad. I love it, but anyone should have a fun time at his show live.
100%.
We'll get you out of here on the same question. We get everyone out of here.
So good, but I also wanted to add the Paradise Rock Club in Boston. Lots of great memories there, I would say as well.
Okay, we'll put I don't think I've ever seen a show there.
Oh my gosh, you have to go. I mean, it's legendary, and that's another one where, I mean, you can get real close. I mean, you know, it's 500 capacity or something, but yeah, it's just the way, it's kind of a wide room, so you're close if you're on the floor, and then there's a balcony, and I've just seen. I mean, that's where I went to college, and I was working at, you know, an alternative radio station. And so they would do promotion. I mean, I've seen some of these bands at smaller places too, but, you know, Coldplay and the Strokes and everyone who's coming up comes through the Paradise.
All right. I'll check it out. I like small, intimate venues, and then outside. I don't like the big stadiums and arena shows, but it's
not like super small, but like it feels intimate, you know, kind of based on the architecture.
All right, I'll check it out. I bought the Neva trading cards for the venues. I don't know if that's on there. I don't know. I'll have to take a look at them.
I'm sure it is. It's real. I'm sure like the Police played there. You know, it's just a legendary place that everybody comes through.
All right, I'll look into it. So pick one person who you get to spend a day with. You get 24 hours or whatever. They have to be living. You can't be related to them. And who's it going to be, and what are you guys going to do? It sounds like you already got Noel. Watched the World Cup, so don't pick him. but give me someone else. We put it on a list. We're actually doing outreach to make it happen for our guests. We started the other day. This week we had someone mention Vladimir Putin, which obviously we're not going to be able to do, but we're going to try anyway.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't have to be music. It could be anything.
I know. The first answer that came to mind is ridiculous because I know this person a little bit, but I really love Katie Ledecky, who's like the greatest female swimmer in history. But I feel like that's a little accessible for me because I work in Olympic swimming. So let's go with good old Barack Obama.
That's a great choice. You know, I would say every time, like basketball, he just shoots it and walks away, and it's like, that's how I do it. Music. You can tell he's genuinely a music fan, like genuinely a pop culture fan. Obviously, super smart. Just total forward thinking. But then has that, look, it's persona too, but like has that chill vibes. But I know he's also really obsessed with working out every day. To me, that's how you get the chill vibes. So I'll go. If I can have two, I'll go with Katie Ledecky and Barack Obama. How about them together? Together. We'll consider it. We'll consider giving you two. We'll see.
Thanks. I can probably the Katie one. You can hook on Barack Obama.
Yeah, we got. I've actually reached out to Dara Torres, who's a Gator.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
one of the greatest swimmers. Also, would love to have her on the show. Swimming. I'm excited to see the swimming. The Olympics. I'll be tuning in. So.
We just survived Olympic trials. The U.S. I think I'm emotionally okay at this point, but it was like that was just. It's always super intense because, like, really quick. And feel free to prove me wrong on this because I wouldn't claim to be like an expert in all sports, but I am an expert in swimming. Making the U.S. Olympic swim team is the hardest sports team in the world to qualify for because it's once every 4 years, now 5 years, unlike NBA championships and all that, that's annual. And then the U.S. is so good at swimming. We're so deep and we only take the top two at Olympic trials in each event. There's also relay stuff. But so that means if you're
the same people are in multiple events.
Yeah. And this happened, but what that means is if you are the world record holder and you have a bad day and two other people beat you, you don't go to the Olympics. What also happens, which also happened, is if you are ranked third in the world and the two people ahead of you are Americans and you get third, you don't get a shot at a bronze or any medal. So it was just like, and this trials in particular with the extra year, it's just like, there were veterans that couldn't quite hold on. There were teenagers that I'm getting chills just talking about it. So
I follow because the Gators have an excellent swim team. There's I think 3 or 4 Gators who are going to be in Tokyo. So I'm looking forward.
How about this fun fact? If you're a Florida Gators fan, in the freestyle, there's quite a few freestyle events. 50 through the mile. The men, Florida Gators won every single freestyle event at trials. And the 50 freestyle is very different from the mile. So, it's different coaches and stuff, but it's still very impressive.
No, they got a great program there and great to see the U.S. dominate in swimming. So we look forward to that. Check out Emily's book, Interning 101, the book, How to Build a Sustainable Music Career and Collect All Revenue Streams, podcast and book, Collective Entertainment, iVoted. What am I missing?
That's my life right now. Book,
podcast.
Twitter,
Instagram, MWizzle.
Yeah. Swimming stuff. I'm busy with swimming stuff right now. But yeah, my 3 things in my life right now are iVoted, podcasts, and the Olympics coming up.
Well, I look forward to being involved with iVoted. We'll talk about how I can help personally and Ticket Time Machine. But personally, I'd love to help and looking forward to it. Appreciate the time.
Yeah.
And have a great holiday, safe and fun holiday. Enjoy some time and enjoy, maybe get a 10th hour of sleep this weekend.
Sounds great. You too. Thank you so much for having me, Matt. I really appreciate it.
Have a great one. We'll be back tomorrow for another episode of Wolff Den. Have a great day.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.